take all 10 since I had a little bit of time. But what I would like to say is that if you think about the growth of our industry over the last 25 to 30 years, a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about the internet bubble and how it burst and everything collapsed. So that's the financial markets and the media looking at it. The reality is that the web-based computing, virtualization, consolidation, the things that we've been up to for the last 15 to 20 years have delivered tremendous productivity to the U.S. If you go back to the mid-'70s when Japan was running all over, buying all of our real estate here and leading what we thought was a transfer of wealth from here to there, the U.S. kicked it into gear. There wasn't any kind of major radical change. What happened was we enjoyed a massive productivity improvement in virtually every industry in the U.S. By creating disintermediating consumers from the companies they wanted to deal with, by building new B2B systems so that supply chains were automated, doing all kinds of things that have radically changed and transformed industry in the United States. If you look at the Department of Labor statistics and Department of Commerce statistics, and they break our economy up into segments, they'll tell you that only 3 segments of the U.S. economy did not enjoy spectacular productivity benefit during this time period: healthcare, education, and government. Today, those 3 segments are approximately 65 to 67% of the U.S. economy and the GDP. And if we expect to be able to come out of this economic recession as the strongest economic player in the world still, we have got to get the kind of productivity improvements we've seen in retail, we've seen in other segments in these segments, especially since we're going to be carrying a massive amount of debt in the public sector environment. If we don't have productivity, the shortfalls that we're having in budget will continue for years and years as we pay very high interest rates on the public debt. The only way we're going to get out of it is to improve the productivity of our operations. We know how to do it. We need to have data-driven decision making. We need to have outcome-focused programs and projects. We need to try things radically different than we have before. And we need to do it in all 3 of these segments. Frankly, healthcare is going to be the easiest because they are so far behind. They don't even do record keeping. I mean, literally, the process of measuring what works will deliver productivity there. But the opportunity to leapfrog beyond just electronic medical records to adding automation to processes that are in place, providing integration between functions like radiology and pharmacology, promise huge benefit. In education, we spend so much money on old technologies. The state of California each year goes out and makes a major buy of new textbooks. We have to have new 3rd grade textbooks this year because somehow addition has changed from last year to this year, or the way we teach it. We know that's not true. We know there's better ways. We know there's ways to individualize education so kids move through the education system with higher productivity. And that we are able to care in the education system not only for traditional students, but to bring non-traditional students into the environment through distance learning, through a variety of other activities. I don't know how many of you went to a college where you would go into a lecture series for one of your base fundamental requirements, and you had a whole variety of other classes afterwards, and you had a TA or a professor's assistant that you'd have to get through traffic and fight way through to sit in a giant classroom to listen to a pretty mediocre lecture. Today, there's just no reason why you shouldn't hear the very best lecture on any topic you're studying. Online, virtualized at your time and your speed. We know we can improve the productivity of the U.S. workforce through improving education. We have to improve the educational process in order to deliver those services. The cost of healthcare, the cost of education have gone up huge amounts relative to the rest of the economy. While we've had virtually flat prices, higher ed education has outstripped all of our earnings. I have 3 kids in college. It's why I'm not still working in the public sector. I couldn't afford it to send them to school. Healthcare. My father is in is 75 years old and has had leukemia for a number of years. Every time he goes in for his chemo, it's a $6,000 shot of chemicals. My dad's been on a fixed income for 20 years. Just can't afford the healthcare environment. And in government, we cannot afford the inefficient way we operate government. So this is not just about making our organizations run better. This is about saving our country, keeping us in the leadership position we've all enjoyed, and keeping the world safe. We've got to meet this challenge. So it's mine.
Thanks, Larry. Adrian?